How's it going, everybody? Welcome to History 151, first week. Hopefully, getting settled in to all your classes. And this is your online class, History 151. I'm your professor, Professor Skinner. I'm excited for the next 16 weeks to learn about world history. From sort of the beginning, which is what this week sort of talks about, up until about 1500 is what we're going to cover. So that's a lot of time. There are a lot of regions, a lot of peoples, a lot of cultures, a lot of ideas, but I'll work you through it. Each week will be a topic, various topics, and we'll work through them as we go. You can get a sense of the class if you look at the syllabus. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to do that. It's available on Lamaku there. There's also a little syllabus survey. If you could fill that out real quick, that just kind of shows me that you've looked at it, know some important parts about it, particularly sort of how to, what to do for assignments and guidelines, what happens if you miss an assignment, our major sort of writing assignment, the epic essay, you got to be thinking about now as well. So take a look over that and also get familiar with the format of Lamaku as it is. That format is going to be pretty much consistent throughout the entire semester. So each week we'll have a topic, right? There'll be an intro. There'll be some student resources. I'll talk about those in a second. And then lessons, 1, 2, 3, however many of those goes. Within those lessons, there's lectures, there's readings, there's activities, interactives, I call them. So just kind of work through that material as you go. And the assignments are always there. Typically in this class, assignments are always due on Friday at 4. And I do that just so, I want you to try to get your work done during the work week so that the weekend you can do whatever you have to do outside of school. I understand sometimes that doesn't work into people's schedules, which is totally fine. Just if you're going to miss, as it says in the syllabus, if you need a little extension for that Friday 4 p.m. deadline, totally fine. But it's your responsibility to email me that. And so we're communicating so that I just don't kind of get assignments turned in whenever, because I've also got to grade them, so I need to kind of have some organization there as well. So it's on you. Just let me know if you need that. It's Lamaku stuff. I'll get into student resources. That's like a sort of submodule. This one has 2 things, and you'll see this midweek check-in there. So 3 things. The first one is this framework, and again, this is, you probably heard about this in other Hawaii Community College classes, but we're trying to kind of shift away from, like colleges, particularly in sort of just classes in college are just things you have to do and just get them done and move on, to kind of like thinking about how the community college, the classes you take, are part of this larger sort of life narrative that you're building, right? That you're here in this semester in this class for a specific reason. That's your hua, right? And there's different ideas for that. So you're all here for some reason, right? So again, if you are listening to this, maybe take a second after you listen to this midweek check-in to kind of pause and think, what is your hua? Why are you here? What do you want to do? What do you want to get done in this semester? How is this semester going to play into next year or future, right? Kind of try to put that all in context, making this a little more holistic. And then you have the ha'alele, right? The sort of stepping off part. What do you have? What kind of skills do you have? Do you possess to work through these next 6 weeks, sort of gathering those things? What are you going to put in your canoe before you paddle out into the ocean? Huakai is the journey we're about to take on for 16 weeks. As most journeys are, sometimes they're nice and smooth sailing. Sometimes they get a little rocky. We can manage those. Hoina is sort of this arrival, kind of finishing, getting done at the accomplishment, and then the haina is sort of reflecting on what all happened. So we'll kind of work on this throughout the semester. But again, I definitely encourage people to think about, what is your hua? Why are you here? What do you want to accomplish? And then halfway through the semester and the end of the semester, we'll come back to this so we can kind of reevaluate that. So if you can write it down, maybe put it on your computer or wherever your workspace is. What is your motivation? What is your egg that you want for this, your seed? And then there's also student announcements. So every week I put student announcements in there, things that I think are interesting here for this week. There's a lot of like welcome back to school things that you can look at. And then the rest of them are just lessons. In this case, they're usually by topic. This week we have 3 lessons. So the number of lessons will vary. The lectures within lessons are usually 1 or 2 per. They're recorded. I think at the top, you can there's ways that you can Google will automatically transcribe those for you, so you have the option there. I gave a link, I think, in the syllabus page. And then so this week, like, what is history? So we talk about evidence. Hopefully by the end of this week, you know what a primary source and a secondary source is. Make sure that's clear. You know, origins of humanity, kind of the empirical evidence, what we know through science and testing, and then also sort of the supernatural explanations, which are also valid in their own ways, right? How humans think about, contextualize this world around them, because that's really shaped human history, and that's particularly History 151. That's really how worldviews were spread, and there's different ways that people and cultures and societies have thought about the origins of humanity, where they came from. And then we talk about human evolution, get some first primary sources there with bones, particularly Lucy, Australopithecus, and then, you know, up to the sapiens. This was a sort of process again, and that's still getting worked out. That's still fluid. You know, some people put it as a tree. Some people, there's an idea that maybe it's more like shrubs, a bunch of little shrubs all sort of coexisting. But ultimately, out of that comes these Homo sapiens, us, about 300,000 years ago. If you went back 300,000 years ago, we'd sort of be pretty much on par. And again, that's not like at 301 BCE, there was no humans, and then 299,000 years ago, there was humans. And it's a process, but estimatedly, all our faculties, sort of digits, brains, vocal cords were similar to what they are now about 300,000 years ago. And then, you know, we had the Paleolithic, where humans were expanding out, figuring things out, how to manipulate the world around them, paint walls, caves. I gave a view of La Salle Cave, which I think is really interesting. The Neolithic transition to more settled society, domestication of plants and animals. I gave some examples of those. And then these complex societies, you know, again, sort of the Neolithic transition, historically, sort of environment and climate plays into that. The evidence suggests that with the warming climates at the end of the most recent ice age, that's where humans came from. And then and then civilization, we talk about we talk about get into Mesopotamia, some features of that, which brings us to your two assignments this week. One, sort of the introduction. So history here, everybody just sort of think about history around themselves. Sometimes, particularly in ancient history classes, you're like, oh, it's so far away and so in the past. But history is here, it's relevant. So yeah, around your house, right outside your house, what is something historical that you have every day? And share it with the class, and kind of, again, a recording video, sort of these ideas that it is online, understand that, it's asynchronous, but sometimes a name and a face is good, particularly as we do discussions, and then we're going to have some group projects, so just kind of get familiar with who people are. And then also, your one is the Padlet city. I want us to build a city, so utilize, again, in these Padlets, please relate the course information. I don't want some random thing. I want sort of Mesopotamia. What from the lectures do we learn about Mesopotamia and ideas of civilization, these early cities, and what is your contribution going to be to that? So I think that's it. Welcome to History 151. Email me if you have any questions.